was taken in like 1915 or something like that. Well, it obviously wasn't Tuck Creek Dam. And it was just a little bitty dam. Well, it was the dam in Marysville. Because the address side was sent by somebody in Marysville, sent to, I forget now where it goes, someone else fairly local. But it didn't identify the location. So this person in another...
Nancy, give a lead into what you're talking about here.
Okay, we're talking about the Frank Edwards.
The Edwards Ranch and the possible connection of Frank Edwards, who was an early Marshall County resident. Frank Edwards came here as a young man right out of the Civil, actually before the Civil War. He was here in 1857, showed up in the territorial census. And then Frank went away and was in the Civil War and then came back. But in the land records, Frank Edwards bought the north part of the land that later became the Edwards Ranch. He didn't have the whole thing, but I forget now, there's over a quarter section I think that he bought long before R.J. Edwards came here. R.J., the original Roland John Edwards, was from Wales. He immigrated into the United States in the early 1850s with his family. He was a young man. And after the Civil War, R.J. went to Colorado.
Okay.
He was a miner, and he found silver and made some big bucks.
Yeah. They own a town out there.
And I don't know that much about what he had in Colorado, but that's where he made his fortune.
Yes. Okay.
Then after that, he came to Kansas and lived in Emporia. In fact, he married a girl from Emporia. I forget now what her maiden name was.
Is this what generation is this?
This was R.J. was probably born in the 1840s, early 1840s, because he would have been about 20 when the Civil War started, somewhere in that range. But he lived in Emporia, but he started buying land. I don't think he ever lived on the Edwards Ranch. I think he owned the land. And other people ran it for him until his son, Sam, got old enough to inherit it. And then, of course, Sam owned it then from that point on until it passed on it down in the family. And I guess the Edwards still owned it when the Tuttle Creek took it out. But
Sam's house is, I'm pretty sure, is
yeah, he lived.
Roger lived in.
Yeah.
Did he live in Blue Rapids or in Irving? For a while, he lived in Irving, I thought it said.
Well, the Edwards house, and I thought it was a Sam Edwards house.
When they moved to town?
And they moved, yeah.
Really? Okay.
We have an Edwards house here that's maybe connected with the one
Well, and it could be that I'm not remembering it correctly, that he didn't live in Irving, but he lived in Blue Rapids. That's possible. But anyway, I've not made any connection between the families of Frank Edwards, because I tried to trace him back. I found him as a young man living in either Indiana or Ohio. And I find no evidence that he immigrated. Whereas R.J. came into the United States as a young man with his parents, and they were immigrants from Wales. Now, the other connection with the Edwards Ranch, of course, my family is connected, kind of, because my Uncle Ray lived there, worked there, and married the daughter of the ranch manager, who was was it W.J. Williams, who was also from Wales.
The Williams Switch connection. I think.
And it always amazed me that here we have a Welsh family that ended up running a ranch for a Welsh rancher. Was there a connection before they got here?
Well, it's also interesting as they say that the Whitings were Welsh also. Whitings as in
Whiting?
Ira and the Sabins and Whitings and all of them also.
Really?
And Whitings were out there in Cherryvale too.
Huh. Okay.
But I've
So
never
there's another
gotten,
connection there.
I've never had time to go back that far.
Yeah. I've never tried. I've never made a connection from that part of the world with these folks. It's just the connections between the Edwards and the Williams that I thought was unique, in that they both immigrated from Wales. Now they came
But they would have
different
had
times.
to have known people. I mean,
Yeah.
they just, you know, it's fascinating how they had
Wales.
to know people.
Yeah.
Someone
Wales.
had to be here before them for them to want to even come.
Yeah. See, and the Williams didn't come until later. They were here around the turn of the century, because Gwenny, my aunt that married Ray, she was 5 or 6 years old, I think, when they immigrated. So she was actually born in Wales. And she wasn't born until after, I think she was younger than Ray. Ray was born in 1905. I think she might have been born in 1907, which would mean that they didn't immigrate until
They were late.
early teens.
They were late.
But I don't have anything that tells me. I did not find all of. I didn't go through enough of the land records to see when R.J. bought.
Now, where do you do your research? Do you just do it online, or do you go?
No, the land. I get in Marysville. I have to go to the land records up there to do all the land
so
records.
when you come, you stay a couple
Yeah,
of
sometimes
days?
I camp out at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, is it the C.B. Williams you're speaking
No, no.
of? Okay, so this is another Williams, okay. That's Williams Crossing.
yeah, and that's the other thing. There's lots of other Williamses here. But
There's
yeah, see, here's
R.J.
R.J. Edwards,
Yeah.
and he has this clear up to.
This is an 04 Atlas.
Okay. This is showing Axel here.
So you may be talking about the prior to the 04, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Did I bring that? Did I bring it? Or did I bring it?
But see, there's this Williams too that.
Yeah. There are a lot of Williamses.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Williamses. In fact,
Okay.
the Cleburne postcard that I have was written from a Williams to can't remember the other name. And I thought, well, gee, I wonder if that Williams was related to Winnie's family. So I started scratching around, and I found the Williams that wrote the card originally lived in Reeserville community. And the person that she was writing to still did. I can't remember the name, but it turned out that the Williams person was like late teens, early 20s,
Okay.
and she was writing the postcard to somebody that was much younger, and it turned out to be a neighbor girl that she used to babysit.
Oh.
So,
Is this the Reeserville School? Would that be right? Here's Wells Township. This is
no.
Clear Fork.
Reeserville is over
Further on
in
east,
the
okay.
Clear Fork.
Okay, beyond. Okay.
It's pretty much almost straight south of Barrett.
Okay.
Maybe a mile or so west, but mostly south of Barrett. Because that Reeserville Road that goes north.
Kind of jogs, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes north and it turns. There's an old big stone barn where the corner turns there before you get to Barrett. where Barrett used to be, I think.
Yeah.
God, I haven't been down that area. So
You may have to drive down there. How long
well,
you here?
I've been down through there recently
Oh,
with my
okay.
cousin, and I didn't recognize it.
Oh, because things
All
are.
the landmarks are gone.
Yeah,
You know, I'm not sure that big old stone barn is even still there.
I'm not.
And
sure
I
that
couldn't
either.
tell you for sure what corner it was on. All I remember is that from Eldon's place, if we were going to go to Frankfurt,
Mhm.
we'd go that way and go past that stone barn and then end up in Frankfurt somehow. I always thought that we ended up coming out on Highway 9 west of Frankfurt. We didn't go all the way over to Highway 99 and come up to Frankfurt that south.
You went by the junkyard.
I
Down
don't.
by the river.
I don't remember going by the river.
Oh.
That's the thing. It was back then.
Yeah.
I think there was another road
Oh.
that they took that came out on Highway 9 north of the river.
Okay.
We never did get far enough over to cross the river. We crossed Clear Fork, but we never did cross the Vermilion. But I couldn't tell you how we did it.
Okay. Somebody else is driving.
Yeah, I have somebody
Yeah.
else is driving, and
So,
I'm a kid. So.
you know that back to that this Edwards, you still haven't you haven't figured
I have
out the
not
connection.
made a connection. No, I have
Okay.
not. And another connection. Frank Edwards married a Newberry.
Cool. Butch Ewing married a Newberry.
Grant married a Newberry.
Yeah.
Grant always referred to Frank Edwards as Uncle Frank. Well, because Grant's first wife was a niece of Frank's wife. So that was Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
All that.
Uh,
Surveyor's book or what else? Did you pay for it or did you buy it?
I gave it to the museum.
Okay, well, I could look at it. How I can't
incidentally.
find it under surveyor's book.
There is a copy of the newsletter that is not marked up. The one that I
Yeah.
gave you, I had scribbled
Do you want me to-
editing marks
Do you
before
want me to give you
I
back
ran the
that
file.
other one?
It doesn't matter. You can just throw it away.
Well,
And I have more copies
here
of
it
that if you'd like.
Well, give us two. There it is, please, if you have.
I have plenty, and I can
Okay,
print.
there's your mock-up.
I can print
Yeah,
as
that's-
many as I want. But I still have files.
Patio, I don't know.
If it's not what I'm looking for, I mean, not at a surveyor, she's later.
Okay. Agricultural. Slottic.
I can.
British land and cattle. That's who he bought it from. Irving. Okay.
Roger and Connie are not home.
Bummer.
So you're here to take care of some other, so you gonna do some more research and stuff while you're here?
No, actually today is for this.
Oh, for this, okay.
This is, we had talked about, well, I'd come up sometime and do
Yeah.
this, and every time I'd come up, I'd either be staying with raw leaves or bringing raw leaves or something, and I thought,
Yeah,
no, it's going to have to be a trip on my own, and do what I want to do.
Yeah,
And I'm doing it.
that's good. That's original.
Okay.
This doesn't have
Where's the insert?
insert, yeah, doesn't have an insert.
Is there an insert in that one that's sticking out?
Nope, that's that is the, listing of index. That's the index one.
Okay. Now this is off of that map that roughly 1894, 6 or something
yeah.
that they've got up at Marysville.
Mhm.
Now here's R.J. Edwards,
Okay,
and I think it was like this piece and a piece across here is what Frank Edwards bought first.
okay.
Now here's Frank Edwards over here. This is what he owned. He had 220 acres here
Mm-hmm.
that he bought. He bought this and he bought this and some other pieces and kind of consolidated them over a period of time. But that was all before RJ ever showed up. Because on one of the older maps, it still shows this as, I think, British land and cattle or something like that.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that's who RJ bought them
Oh
from.
my.
But this was, in later years, Edwards bought, well, he owned this down in here, and he ended up buying some of this I.N. Proctor. See, there's R.J. Edwards bought that one too. This Proctor place, Proctor evidently owned maybe this piece of land here or somewhere over here. Because when my folks first got married in 1927, they lived on what Dad called the Proctor place.
Oh, okay.
Well, it turns out that it was right next to the Edwards Ranch, because Edwards owned this land, and he would come through Dad's place to go. They had pasture over here where they pastured the horses on the weekends. So they would, Saturday night, they'd bring the horses through to that pasture, and then Monday morning, bright and early, they'd come through and get the horses and take them back to work. So Dad and Mom lived down here on the Proctor place somewhere. So Edwards evidently bought most of what Proctor had. But I've never made a connection. I've tried. This Frank Edwards, I think, was born in Indiana or Ohio, according to census records. And he came to Marshall County, he shows up in the territorial census in 1857 or something like that.
Wow.
So he'd been here a long time. This one, I don't know that he ever lived here. Everything I've seen so far on RJ is he lived in Emporia. And in fact, just recently I found, was it online maybe, an obituary for him. He died in California. He was out there either visiting or owned a summer home or something in California, and that's where he died. And I've been going to go to Emporia to see what I can find out about R.J. Edwards, but I haven't made it up there.
Well, the Edwards we have here, that, connected here with and I thought it was the Samuel house.
Probably was.
They always talk about their ranch
Look at this,
north of the Vermilion,
Plantation Bitters sold by J. Manfield.
south of, do you know
Dealer
where?
in pure drugs and
Meridol,
medicines.
school, or not Meridol,
Magnolia.
Merrimack.
Merrimack.
School.
Yeah, I heard Dad talk about it.
Okay,
Ray.
so the bridge down here and
Healthy
then
food for
Merrimack's
invalids and
school
children.
is, that area is what they always talk about, the Edwards Ranch. Is that,
What this
this
is?
Well, I
not
think
corresponding with this,
well, I
is
think
it?
that's right, because
That's why
Yeah,
I
but-
took it
see,
out.
here's the blue. Here's the big blue.
Okay,
And here's where the
sure.
Vermilion dumps into it right here.
Yes, that would be the same, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
But I was
so,
thinking on the west side, but it must be
The
the
only
east side.
time I can remember anything about the Edwards Ranch is in 1995 when we first started doing the family reunions back in Frankfurt,
Mm-hmm.
we did a little road tour.
Want
We
some
came up
whiskey, did
on
he?
Saturday,
Maybe?
and 4 or 5 carloads of folks toured out through the old place. Well, 95, this is all,
We had the 93
it's all,
flood.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
bad.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Oh,
the
this is-
trees
yeah,
were
it's
all
got
dead
all
up 20 feet, you know.
Yeah.
She's got
But
bits
we
and
drove
pieces and
down
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
past where the buildings had been
Okay.
on the Edwards Ranch, and that's where the road just kind of turned into a
Bookseller.
2-lane,
Something they bought.
2-tire
for their-
tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Sell,
turned around there and
probably.
went back out. But it was there, you could, you know, they pointed out there's still some big
There's
trees
trees.
standing where the,
Kind of a hillside.
where the,
yeah.
yeah, set up kind of on the
Yeah.
high side on the west side of the road.
Yeah.
Where they said, you know, that's where the barn was, and there's where they had 2 or 3 houses and stuff, because there was 2 or 3
And
families.
this
that lived
Roger
there.
they have an aerial picture of that ranch.
Really?
Have you seen it?
No,
Yeah.
I would love to have a copy of that.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
not
just leave a
home?
message to him. I don't have her cell phone.
But he's related to Sam,
That's what I'm thinking he is, yeah. Yeah.
because there's a, did I bring that?
By the way, here's a copy of the book. It kind of got damp, but information's still there.
Oh, bless you, yes,
That's
thank
one of
you.
the originals.
Did I bring that? Yeah, I did. Where I got a lot of my information on Edwards
Uh-huh.
was out of a water bill book that they had
Sure.
up at Marysville.
They're one of their centennial books.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And they copied a page out of it. It's got pictures of RJ and a picture of Sam and his wife, and then later, your Roger might be on that page. See, this is RJ, the original RJ.
Okay.
And then here's Sam,
Sam,
and then this is Sam's son.
Roland, okay.
And then I think these people are later generations.
Yeah, this is this would be cousins to the guy we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I was trying to think what Roger's dad's name was, because when you talk about Emporia, he was a
Bill.
professor there. Bill, okay.
William.
And he was a professor at Emporia State,
Emporia State.
and he was also some kind of in the
Well, see-
legislature.
Yeah,
Something.
RJ was a big benefactor of Emporia State.
Okay,
In
so that's
fact, I think his wife had a connection to Emporia State.
RJ's dad.
Elizabeth Reese was her name.
How do you remember all this stuff?
I don't know. His mind is.
Well, that's why I have 3 file drawers full of papers, so I don't have to remember all of it.
But
You were doing awesome.
yeah.
But anyway,
These records are in 1844.
they have quite a connection to Emporia, and that's why I wanted to go there and
Wow.
dig around in
Yeah, because you.
the historical society there, see what they have.
Might have a lot. Well,
Paying
yeah. that would
somebody
be,
bills? I don't know what that word means.
okay.
Commerce, borrowing with somebody. Does that mean somebody came and they bought things? Here's names. But this, when you go
Well, here's a
further
Frank
in
Edwards
here,
again. Well, whenever you get an opportunity there. Frank Edwards trustees of the resident Frank
this
Edwards.
looks to me Buffalo. Brought from Buffalo, December
Here's a signature of Frank
16th,
Edwards.
1847.
Thought it might. I'm going to bet this William was probably a brother to Sam,
He was or RJ. Ooh, the second
Well,
RJ.
well, it could have been either
Okay.
way. what I was thinking is in here it says that the original RJ had 3 children, but it doesn't give their names.
Okay, the original, all
And
right.
so one of those 3, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere, was a daughter. But there was Sam, and so there may have been another brother that had a family that could have been the family that your Roger was descended from.
He talks about the Colorado connection with the silver.
Happy
And,
days of childhood. Now this is
Here's a book, you're a good decipherer.
$0 to
of stuff.
$15 a day, sure. We would like to employ 1 or more persons of either sex.
Yeah, put everything back here before I can find it, baby.
Usually women didn't get hired.
I think right here on the inside it says Alexandra, somebody, Loban, Buffalo, New York.
Well, the low bands would have been whoever, it was the Sweetlands and the low bands.
But I'm wondering if this is not a transaction book that took place before they left home.
Well, you would think that somebody in that family would, I mean, oh gosh. There's somebody buying cigars from Leavenworth, Kansas.
Yeah, what this is all about is Frank Edwards was a township trustee,
Mm-hmm.
and he had sat down to make an agreement. So he was trustee of Blue Rapids Township, and he sat down with the trustee of the Clear Fork Township to decide who's going to work the common road that separated the 2 townships as far as maintaining the road.
Can you imagine if we
And
said
see, and what happened there, okay, that was, but, okay, you're talking about Clear Fork and Blue Rapids City.
No, he
No.
was Blue Rapids.
Blue Rapids, okay. So
That's
it's
big.
been since
But-
then,
And they shut the
that
newspaper.
got
Depending
put in
on,
there.
this is 1899.
uh-huh,
Or somebody got it.
Bigelow Township didn't get formed
Somebody
until
had left it.
maybe after that.
yeah, okay, so then,
Because there was some of the
Especially
old maps,
yeah.
Mhm.
it shows Bigelow, and it shows Clear Fork is,
oh, the whole
that-
big thing,
yeah.
oh, okay,
this wasn't split, I don't remember the date.
okay.
Here's a
But
treasurer's
originally,
office
there weren't this
in
many
Marshall
townships.
County
I've got
in
copies of
1881.
old maps that I got off the internet.
Final
that,
payment of taxes in
A lot of those
1880.
townships do not exist.
Okay,
On the
so this
described
was pre,
property.
It
when
must
Clear
have been.
Fork must have been.
This is
yeah,
1899.
Mhm.
A somebody Barrett
And
was
I
the
don't
county
know.
treasurer back then.
The
Whatever that
town
Betty
of
Coulter
Bigelow
had
was
that.
formed in
Whatever
81,
location that is.
Okay,
And on the back is the tax readings.
and it could be that the township actually didn't get split until after 99.
What year is that again? 18?
I don't know if I brought that or not.
You went to do 150.
I
you
may
didn't
have-
it's back far enough, yeah.
There's some of the old maps in here.
But how are you doing that? Because we're not even, I saw
It's
your
not
thing on
much,
that.
yeah. I don't know. We may have to do more of Kansas than we do.
What year? What year are we looking at for that?
The 1860.
Butch, did you have any family here in 1860s?
I'm sorry?
Most of them came in the 1870s. didn't they?
1870 is the earliest that the Ewing family was here, yes. January, in fact, January 1st, according to legend, is when they crossed the river at Kansas City and came into Kansas.
I like how you do your stuff.
Lot 7, Public Square.
Block 7?
I guess I throw that back to my days
I
in
don't know.
graphic business.
Yes, this is a
Habit.
nice, well, and it's a nice
And-
workable book, I mean, you know,
Yeah, actually, I didn't get the book until I bought these things here, and I didn't
Okay.
I had to look to
Maybe
find
it's
something
back
big enough
over
to
where
fit
the
them.
business
Well,
is.
that's what, yeah.
Because they came rolled up in a
Well,
tube when I bought them.
One is the building.
Here we
across
go.
from
Here's an
community
old map
center.
that shows Blue Rapids Township and
Okay.
Clear Fork. See, in fact,
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Vermilion is all of this.
What is the,
See,
what
Vermilion
is,
comes clear down to here.
Oh, I see. And
Clear
then
Fork.
Waterville is here.
Yeah. But I don't have a date on this. I don't know when this is from the Marshall County collection at.
Can
Ken-
call again.
Yeah, you can.
Mhm. Okay.
And I don't see a date anywhere on it. So I don't know when they did that, but here shows the town of Bigelow. So it had to have been after 81
Mhm.
to show the town of Bigelow.
State of Kansas Supreme Court, I wonder what this is all
So
about.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what this
that's
is.
what
That's what this
that's
is all
all
about.
about.
Is they're trying
Yeah.
to decide who's going to maintain
C.J.
this road
Brown's
that
the
separated
clerk.
those two counties right
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah, okay.
Randolph,
And since Frank Edwards lived right next to it,
Ben John, so maybe he's not in trouble.
here's I always have the river ran right through his place. Here he is down here.
Oh, okay.
There's the river that cuts right through his place, and he's got this here. In fact, on this drawing that's in here of Frank Edwards' place,
Mhm.
they did a little side drawing of the river crossing area. They had a ford or low water area
Did you get the
close to
newsletter?
his.
It's not all together yet, no, maybe.
Oh, right here.
I was gonna look
Yeah.
at it.
For the Black Permit.
Yeah, it
Oh,
shows,
yeah.
and that evidently was drawn on his property. In
just
fact,
got
here it
pictures of
shows,
the
looks
baby.
like the river
Well, yeah, with
right
all
here.
the trees, yeah,
Yeah.
sure enough.
So, of course, these are artist conceptions. You know, they may
The
have
book,
I know.
of
They
the
may have
doctor's deal.
doctored them just a
Thomas
little
making
bit.
fun
Like a
watch
bird's
what
eye
I
view.
did.
Since
Front
since
page,
the
so that's
since
not
the
real.
Frank was paying him to do this in the book,
Yeah.
then we're
So
gonna
I'll
make it
do
pretty
that.
for Frank.
Yeah,
And then I just
that's
got
true.
Good deals.
front and baby picture.
And look at this. That's probably a storage thing of with grass on it or sod on top of it. It's probably dug down
Oh
in.
yeah, it probably is. Probably a
Wow.
underground
Makes
storage
sense,
or something.
Wow. Maybe it's a dairy barn. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's an interesting aside. Here's another one of those old Marshall County maps. See, and it's showing Vermilion. There's not even a Clear Fork down
Oh, so that's even older. Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So this goes back. Vermilion is well, there's the town.
What's the
No,
But
name
here's
of the
this is
river?
all Rock
Rock.
Township.
Uh-huh.
Comes clear down to here.
Wills is kind of small.
Yeah. Well, actually, Wells probably was the original. What still is.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
just that everything else around it got cut down so much.
Mhm.
Because here's Blue Rapids clear down in here. It got cut apart.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
yeah, so the township lines have moved around
Moved,
quite a bit
yeah.
over time.
Oh, there's Garrett's. Yeah, where did you find a book like this?
You talking about
The big
presentation
binder.
thing? I bought that at an arts and crafts store, Michael's.
Oh, yep.
I think is
I've
where I
heard of
found
yeah.
it, at Wichita.
Yeah.
It's either at Michael's or at Hobby Lobby. I can't remember which.
That's good to know.
Yeah, but they in their art department they've got all kinds of stuff like that. Might have been Hobby Lobby.
Got one of those names, yeah.
Yeah.
Neat school.
Did you see in here, there's a, from the school, the
Is there-
college,
Oh, from the,
Chautauqua College of Liberal Arts.
for our little college down
I
here?
didn't pull it out to look at it, just.
Really?
sort of-
Oh. You'd ask about something
No,
else too. I
that's
thought,
not what ours was called. I don't
needed to
think.
go look at that. Oh.
Do you need
What was it?
marriage records? We have marriage records on file. Back to 18-something.
For what? For
Marshall
Marshall County?
County.
I think most of those I have that I've gotten over the years at courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Or used to be the courthouse, now it's at the Historical Society. They've got all the old stuff. So I think I've got most of the marriage stuff.
Go to Waterville. I'm looking for their clock tower.
Clock
The
tower?
Old, yeah, there's a clock tower in the old maps. And nobody's been able to tell me about it
Clock tower.
in the map.
On the plat map, probably in front of the books there. Some of those I pulled out, they may just be land or loose.
Yeah. No, I let you tuck those back in as to where
Yeah, I'll put it back together before we go.
you go. Have you ever come across any black people? Cemetery population, what do we want to call it?
Historical
History,
stuff
yeah.
on the black families.
Mhm.
I haven't paid a lot of attention. In this 1957 Frankfurt book that I have, they have a section on the black community. There was evidently quite a few of them out around Winifred or somewhere around in there.
Okay.
But I have not read that and paid a lot of attention because the only names that rang a bell with me were the Coffees and the Coffees actually, because
Yeah.
that's the only name that Dad ever talked about. And then
And they were still over there, the guy just died, I think.
well,
so.
and they were related to the McWilliams because probably 10, 15 years ago, I brought Dad up here. You know, I always laughed at Dad. I'd say, "Oh, let's go to Frankfurt." "Oh, hell, I didn't know everybody I know up there is dead. I don't want to go up there." You know, and I'd finally get him to come up here, and then I couldn't take him anywhere without him seeing everybody he knew.
Yeah.
We came up here, and when the West Side Cafe was still going in Frankfurt, there behind the
Yeah.
retirement apartments, we stopped there for lunch. We walked in. Of course, they had a big round table where all the farmers came in to do coffee and lunch and stuff. And there's about 6 or 8 guys, and there's one black guy sitting there. Youngish, you know, didn't look any older than me. He had gray hair, of course. And so Dad and I sit down over here, and he kept looking at that table, and he wondered if that was one of the coffee boys. So on the way out, Dad went by and asked him if he was a coffee. Well, no, but he was a McWilliams. He lived on the old coffee place and was farming the coffee place out in Richville, and still lives out there. I don't remember his name.